Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, the son of Vasudeva and destroyer of Kansa and Chanura, the forces of darkness, and giver of delight to Devaki. To that Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, we offer adoration. Just to give you a subtle implication, Vasudeva Sutam, the son of Vasudeva, is the divine potentiality in every individual. God is within the heart of everyone. The divine aspect that permeates the whole world, that aspect is there within your heart. And that's the subtle meaning of Vasudeva Sutam, the son of Vasudeva. God who is attained by jnana, wisdom. The source of wisdom is Vasudeva, the divine potentiality. Devaki Paramanandam. Devaki is the bhavana aspect in every heart. Divya bhavana, bhavana feeling that is moving to God, Godward feeling. So Godward intellect, Godward feeling. Together they produce the Son, Krishna. He is the destroyer of Kansa and Chanura. Kansa is Kamsa. Who is he? It's a big riddle. Kansa is the principle of ignorance. When you bring light, there is no darkness. Darkness is always a big riddle. The child cries out to the mother, "I'm afraid." And the mother says, what has caused this fright in you? She brings a lamp, and the child looks to show her the darkness. And with the light, no matter where he turns, there is no darkness. It's a big puzzle. That's ignorance, that's Kansa. Chanura. The term Anu is there. Anu means atomic. Vasana, subtle desires that exist in the unconscious, wrapped up with impurities. In other words, avidya, ignorance, vasana, subtle desires, avidya, kama, karma, all the impurities that lead the soul into karmic entanglements. All these are brought out by these two words, Kansa and Chanura. In other words, ignorance and its family are destroyed by Krishna, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Therefore, he is Jagadguru, the guru of the entire universe. Krishna is God, the Absolute. Another verse also is recited. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandana partho vatsah sudhir bhokta dugdham gita mritam mahat. All the Upanishads are the cows. And this son of this cowherd man, Nanda, that's what Krishna is. Krishna was brought up by a cowherd chief. His name is Nanda. Nanda itself means joy. This type of praise of Krishna relates to internal aspect of your personality. Your aspiration grows privately, beyond your senses, beyond your ordinary consciousness. So Krishna was brought up in that atmosphere of internalized movement. And Nanda was the father, Yashoda was the mother. And Nanda means joy. Yashoda means giver of mystic splendor. All these relate to God within every individual. All the Upanishads are the cows. In practical world, cow milk is all over the world well recognized as a great nutrition. But for the mystical world, the cows are the Upanishads, the scriptures, Vedic scriptures. And Krishna brings out the essence of all those Upanishadic teachings. In fact, is the essence of all religions. Partho Vatsa. Arjuna is symbolic of a calf. Is symbolic of any spiritual aspirant who has developed qualification for receiving knowledge. Soul, with qualification, is Vatsa, is the calf. And through Arjuna, what he gave is meant for all the calves. And the milk is what the teachings of the Gita are. The teachings of the Gita is that milk. The nectarine essence of the Gita. That great nectarine essence was given by Krishna to Arjuna and thereby to all humanity. I'm giving you highlights of the Gita, which implies not going into too many details that do not have much bearing upon your practical sadhana. In other words, all the story of the Mahabharata, what led that battle between two forces, Pandavas, forces of light, Devi forces, divine forces, and the Kauravas, the forces of darkness. Forces of light and forces of darkness, they can always continue to battle. All that battle goes on within every individual. Human embodiment is Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra. Dharmakshetra means having attained human embodiment, you can follow the path of dharma, follow the path of righteousness, and attain the highest goal. There are four purposes of life, human life. Dharma, righteousness should be the basis of all that you attain in this world. On the basis of righteousness means ethical value of life. You build up artha, resources that are needed by you. Wealth, house, materials, all the resources, that's artha. Third, kama. Live a life in such a way that you contribute to serving society, not just by yourself, but by having your children and grandchildren all joining in the big show of the world process. It's kama. But all that is, you began with dharma. The goal of life is moksha, liberation. It's called paramadharma, supreme dharma. These four purposes, if they are kept in this sequence, dharma to begin with as the very foundation, then you are living a life that is rich and purposeful. And you will become a basis for evolving a profound culture. The world will enjoy real peace and prosperity. But if that is not there, there's always confusion and disbalance, ashanti, lots of chaos. The Gita was presented by Krishna to Arjuna in the battlefield. And that battlefield, I'm not going to give you much more description. Gita scripture has been written in such a way, it's an old style, the style of presenting a coconut. You go to a temple, you have coconuts. Can't eat it immediately. You have to break it, crack it, and then water comes from it. Drink it, and then you pick out the pulpy coconut. In the same way, when you face Gita, the whole first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, lots of personalities are being introduced, lots of conches are being blown, and lots of things. And people become confused. Am I reading a scripture? But you are facing a hard shell. So be patient. Go beyond that shell. And I have already cracked it. So I'm going into the second chapter. Arjuna is in the chariot. Krishna is driving the chariot. That's the setting. And Arjuna is suddenly, he was well prepared to fight. And all his brothers and all the Pandavas, the forces of life, they all depended upon him. But right at the time when the battle was to start, Arjuna began to tremble and express a strange type of compassion and ended up saying, I will not fight. Because I will be killing all these people. Better for me not to fight. And expressed terrible grief and delusion. Shok moh. So the first chapter builds up an atmosphere for the mind that comes to encounter cloud of grief and a storm of delusion. And that's the reality behind every individual, whoever has a mind. If you have no mind, don't worry. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashotyananvashocastvam pragyavadanshcha vasase gatasuna gatasunshcha nanusochanti pandita. The Blessed Lord said, you are grieving over those who are not fit to be grieved for. Yet you speak words like a man of great wisdom. The wise grieve neither over the living nor over the dead. Teaching is given from a very advanced level to begin with. That's the Eastern style. Always give the goal before you. See, if you have a travel project, they show you the Himalayas. Look, and this is the big Mount Everest. And this is the way I have planned. We have planned for you. Similarly, the highest goal that for which every individual must strive for, and that's the purpose of life. That's what Lord Krishna is pointing his finger to that goal. The Blessed Lord said, you are grieving over those who are not fit to be grieved for. The greatest problem for all humanity, if I have to ask you, tell me in brief. Answer is grief. And all the factors that have led you to grieve, all the causes that your mind has thought about for sustaining your grief, they are all illusory, substanceless. So therefore you are grieving over those who are not fit to be grieved for. Of course, keeping the setting of the war, those related to all those great heroes that had come. And in Arjuna's expression, how can I kill Bhishma, and so many great people who have been like father, grandfather, and so forth. But that's an allegorical way of saying all things in the world that you grieve for. You grieve for loss of money, grief for loss of power, loss of health, loss of so many things. And sometimes grief, mind becomes addicted to grief. So when there is nothing to grieve about, one becomes very lonely. Nothing is happening. An enormous world of grief. Matter that matters. In reality, matter doesn't matter. The Sanskrit word for matter is padartha. All your worries are in three levels. At the intellect level, what you come to discern by your intellect, to discover, that creates your worries. The worry at the level of your sentiments, and worry at the level of your physical reality, the world of senses, the practical world. You must realize you always live three types of world. Practical world, where you are moving around, your house, your material things. But that's not the end of it. Of course, in this, that's called Bhur Loka. In Bhur Loka, there is eating, drinking, be merry. In Bhuar Loka, start dancing and doing music and other things also. Not just eat, drink, and be merry. Allow your feelings to expand. And then allow your intellect to be brighter. All the three levels of realities are faced by everyone. And in each level there are worries. Enormous reality you face. Physical world is terrible. There is history behind you. And all the technology growing constantly with such a speed that you are always given the worst news that happens in the world at your best time. That becomes the cause of grief. And then there is the world of feelings. And there is the world of thinking. All the three worlds give you enormous type of stress. And everyone carries that stress. But the reality is all these three worlds, they are like experiences in a dream. The real you, the real inner self within you is beyond. And all the three worlds cannot impact upon, cannot enrich, cannot add anything to who you are. All the clouds cannot add anything to the sky. All the projections cannot add anything to the screen. All the mirage waters cannot add anything to the desert. Illusions cannot give you any substantiality. So what you think substance, known as padartha, matter that matters, that matter doesn't matter. because it is not substantial at all. Your reality is beyond physical, subtle, and causal, beyond physical, emotional, rational. So you are grieving over all this not worth grieving for. You wake up from a very complicated and suspenseful dream, and then you begin to grieve over things of the dream. And a wise person near you tells you, don't grieve over it. All that doesn't matter. Nothing was real. Deep down, your goal is to be stripped of all grief. And yet, if your mind is constantly occupied with grief, and your intellect finds reasoning, always justifies your grieving process, because you are always backed up by your own intellect. Your intellect pets you. What you are doing is wonderful. That's the way thinkers should do. Yet you speak words like a man of great wisdom. That type of dull intellect speaks as if there is great wisdom is being taught. So Arjuna is with deluded intellect, and he has worked out through his mind the idea that all this duty that has come to him, he should not engage himself into that duty, for which he prepared all. And he is worrying about so many people, so many things. And his answer to all this problem, get away from the battle, go to an ashram somewhere, and just renounce, do nothing. That again is a figurative statement. The idea is you have two choices. Engage yourself in action, or just stay ignoring your duties. Try to get away from it. Both are terrible processes. No one can stay inactive. But all these points will be brought out later in more detail. Hear what Krishna says to Arjuna, that you are grieving over those who are not fit to be grieved for, and yet look at your brilliant intellect. You are justifying your grief. You speak words like a man of great wisdom. Ashochya ananvashochastvam. You are grieving over things not worth grieving for. Pragya vadanshcha bhashase. And yet you are speaking as if you are all-knowing Pandit. Who is a Pandit? The actual meaning of Pandit is he who possesses wisdom. Wisdom that all this matter that spreads out in the three planes within you doesn't matter. All this is a result of ignorance. Knowledge that wipes the ignorance away. Whoever possesses that knowledge is called Pandit. Pandit is one who gains insight into the illusory nature of the world and conducts himself in the world in such a way that he becomes a source of inspiration for others. Vasantavat loke hite charanta. A Pandita is one who has become like a spring, spirit of spring. He has sprung out of the world, but into the world he is a spirit of spring, inspiring all. The wise grieve neither over the living nor over the dead. Gatasun gatasunshcha. The world that you see is transient. Things exist, but they're not going to exist all the time. Living and dead are more vivid illustrations when you direct your attention to living beings, how they live and how they all move away. Imagine the story of Lord Buddha. A lady comes to Buddha with a dead child in her arms and says, "Oh Lord, cure me of this grief. Revive this child. You are all-knowing, all-powerful." And Buddha said, "Indeed, I will do that. Just do only little thing for me. Get from any house a tablespoon of mustard seeds." She may not have said tablespoon, but it doesn't matter. That's all that's needed to revive your child. She said, "Is that so? I will. But get the mustard seed from that house only, where nobody has died, or in whose family nobody has died." Now it is impossible for anyone who has not lost grandfather, father, this or that. So nowhere she could get the mustard seed. He went very happily from place to place and asked, "Did anybody die? 10 years ago, 100 years ago, did anybody die here?" "Sure, they died." "Dead are many, living are few." By this time, she gets the knowledge Buddha wanted her to gain. And she comes back and says, "I could not find. Please give me instruction so that I can attain nirvana." Anityam asukham lokam, later Gita will say. All things in the world are transient, and they cannot really give you happiness. Any happiness you are gaining is an illusion. So the wise grieve neither over the living. The living people cause a lot of grief. Always in the family, parents are always thinking, what will happen to my child? Living child, now what will happen? After marriage, the grandsons and granddaughters come in, and what will happen? All that imaginations and a lot of grief. If you are wise, don't allow your mind to go into that direction. At the same time, let your mind go after the past. Imagine people waste their mental energy over immense past. You dig out a bone and it happens to be some great man of the past. Alexander the Great. And there is great excitement, everywhere they have found Alexander's toes. And they have discovered his toes had certain deficiencies. What wisdom is there? Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipa na chaivana bhavishyama sarve vayamatah param. Never did I not exist, nor these kings, nor shall we ever cease to exist in future. Absolute existence is the common denominator behind all variables. What does that imply? It implies direct your attention to anything, to anyone, any living being today. That person has not come into the body this time, just now, just within a short period of time. The soul has been existing and gone through countless lives. But even the attention directed to the soul is only leading you to a higher level of reality. Higher level of reality is you are not a soul that is wandering from body to body. You are Brahman, the absolute self. Think of the sun. Sun is one. But think of the reflected sun in a jar. That reflected sun is full of worries. Because it sees the jar and its contents as its personality. So first thing you tell the reflected sun, you are not the jar, you are not the water. And if the whole jar perishes, nothing goes wrong to you. You can go into another jar. Jars change, but you are perennial, you are moving from one to another, you are an invariable entity. But that is not the highest truth. The second step of truth, you are the sun, not a reflected sun. Even as a reflected sun, you move from jar to jar and not dependent upon the jar. But the reality, highest reality, you are not a reflected sun, you are the sun. But human minds cannot handle all the reality, so let step by step. First to understand that you are not going to be destroyed. The body will, but you are not going to be destroyed. Time does not cause any alteration in you. Because time in itself is not the reality. So never did I not exist. So allow your mind in meditation to breathe in a divine atmosphere of eternity, immortality, absolute fearlessness. All people whom you see around you, all objects that you see, the reality behind them was never lost. Names and forms will go on changing, but that Sat, the reality, will continue to exist. To that direction, Lord Krishna, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Just as an embodied soul attains childhood, youth, and old age through the body, so it attains another body after death. Spiritual heroes do not grieve at this. Think of simple points to understand as allegorical illustrations. Think of your own experience. You are an embodied soul. How did you look when you were a child? You have forgotten, go and look into some of your pictures. Parents have still kept. Everything about your childhood personality has gone away forever. Do you grieve over it? That alas, what a wonderful child, and the child is dead. And you are the one. You gently move on from a child stage to a grown-up. Balyavastha, child. Yuva-avastha, youth. And then Vriddhavastha, age. The same way you slip through death to another. If you are coming back into another embodiment, again you are following the childhood stage, growing up, aging. But you remain the same. You did not grieve when you changed from child to youth. Of course, people start grieving when they change from youth to age. But that's because mind becomes too abnormal. But in normal way, changes occur. In old times, people were proud of being aged. And he presented themselves, I'm older than you. Look at my beard. And the younger people respected them. What I'm simply leading to understand how changes occur within you. And it's very natural. That type of inner feeling should continue. Death is only bringing about a change of your body. Nothing is horrible. What's horrible is when a person dies, that death for the person is not horrible. Horrible is for those people who look at the person who died. When a person is born, the soul comes into life, comes with terrible shock. Every baby cries. But when the child cries, the whole family laughs. You are a stranger in a strange world. They all rejoice. And when a suffering individual suddenly becomes calm, slips beyond all pain, then everybody starts crying. Try to figure that out. All these are points to lead your mind to enlightenment. The need to allow the mind to be enlightened. Not to keep the mind a dull-wit mind. And that's within your capacity to do it. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama payino nityans tanstitikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, that's Arjuna, the objects that are perceived by the senses are subject to birth and death. They give rise to pleasure and pain, to heat and cold. They are transient. Therefore, O Bharata, that's a name for Arjuna, Bharata, one who shines. Endure them heroically. Allow your mind to have a great grasp over transience of all things. All things that you perceive by your senses, they will not be there always. You will be more surprised to know your senses themselves will not be there. And these transient things, they cause pleasure, pain, heat and cold. Try to understand in a broad way. Everyone faces challenging circumstances. But every situation that comes to you is not going to stay. Therefore, it's a simple saying, even this will pass away. A great thoughtful king had his mantra kept with him in his royal palace. Even this will pass away. So whenever he was beset with something worrisome, he would look at it and would a little modification in that mantra. If you are facing the challenges in your life in a healthy manner, each time a challenging situation passes away, you find yourself stronger than before. Each time the moon emerges out of a dark cloud, it shines brighter. That should become a deep-rooted inner insight. If that happens, then you are being nourished by a special milk, mystic milk. If that doesn't happen, then you are day by day depleting yourself, bringing to your mind frustrations, cold and chilling frustrations. All things pass away. All great work we have done for this and for that, and created friendship with people for such a long time, and and it all passes away. If that is haunting the mind, then what will happen to your inner energy? You grow with inner hollowness. On the other hand, face a profounder truth under satsanga environment, because this is not easy to grasp. But as you begin to grasp, there is nothing more inspiring than allowing your mind to understand the nature of your inner self, that you are existence eternal. All things will pass away, things that come within the range of your mind and senses, but not you. The sun looks at the earth. If the sun was ignorant, it will cry, because all things that the sun sees on the earth will pass away. They don't stay even for 2 days. Fortunately, the sun is not stupid. It is the sun that creates all this, all the phenomena, all the different colors on the earth, all variations of illumination come from the sun. So if you discover yourself as the sun, then you don't miss anything. But if you forget about your essential, effulgent nature, then you are living in a world. What a wonderful rainbow. It will not come until 3,000 years later. Many astronomers are counting certain things to happen in terms of thousands of years. And with this, I'm concluding. Om Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Shanti Shanti.